Okay, so today you probably need graph paper even to take notes on. You definitely need graph paper to do your homework on. So this is Graphing 101. So we're kind of like, I guess we're doing some problems in the book, but we're just focusing on graphing today. So first we're going to graph old school. So do you remember just making a table, right? X and Y. And the way we used to do it, we would just pick a few X values, maybe like -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. Like pick some positive, some negative X values, that kind of a thing, and just plug them in. 0 is usually pretty easy to plug in. So what I mean plug them in is you're going to plug them in for X right there. So this would be Y equals 1/2 times 0 minus 5. So that would be 0 minus 5 or -5. So 0 and -5 is a point on this graph. So that's actually the y-intercept. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, let's plug in 1. So that would be 1/2 times 1 minus 5. So 1/2 minus 5 is -4.5. So 1 comma -4.5 is right about there, roughly. Maybe it would have been easier to plug in even numbers. It looks like even numbers are easier. So half of 2 is 1. 1 minus 5 is -4. So 2 comma -4 is the ordered pair for that point. I'll plug in a couple more here. So 4, that would be half of 4. Minus 5 is 2 minus 5 is -3. So that would be 4 comma -3. 1, 2, 3, 4, -3. That works. Let's try 6. Half of 6 minus 5 is 3 minus 5 is -2. Looks like there. You can probably tell we probably have enough points here to go ahead and graph it. Can you tell the slope? It looks like it's going up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2. I can make a few more slope points here, maybe in both directions at least, and then maybe eventually, can I draw the line once you have enough slope points? Technically, you only need 2 points if you know it's a linear line. It certainly fits mx plus b, so it is a linear line. But that would be the way you could just, plug in points. So if you're facing an unfamiliar function, you could always just plug in x values, right? I just picked a few positive, a few negative x values. I didn't actually plug in the negative ones, but we could have done that and gotten some answers there. Easier to use slope and y-intercept. So positive slope looks like this. So that would be a positive slope. Negative slope looks like this. So you probably remember that. That positive goes up the hill, negative goes down the hill as you kind of go left to right. So if you have anything sloping down the hill, it's going to be negative, or positive is up the hill. Is there anything else there? Graph the y-intercept. This is the basic method. I always start with that. Graph points using the slope, and then I don't even use a straight edge. If you have enough slope points, you'll be fine. Okay, so let's start with something basic here like this one. So always start with the y-intercept. Remember the slope formula is, or slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. B is your y-intercept. So in this case, the y-intercept, this is the y-axis, is 1. So I'm going to plot that point, that y-intercept. The slope is positive 2/3, which means I go up 2, over to the right, 1, 2, 3, and make a point. Right, so the slope is positive 2/3. I went up 2 because y is positive when you go up. X is positive when you go right. Those are both positive direction. 2 and 3 are both positive. So we rise up 2 over 3. Let me do that again. Rise up 2 over 3. Let me go down 2 over 1, 2, 3, until I have enough slope points that if I don't have a straight edge, it's still going to look relatively, well, if you don't miss the point there, relatively straight because I'm going through my slope points. Let's try this one. So -5x minus 2 here. So just move this down just a touch here. Okay, so -5x minus 2. So always start with the y-intercept. That would be -2. and the slope is -5/2. So you could really think of that if it's easier as 5 over -2 or -1/2 It works the same way. So I'm going to do it 5 over -2 just because I can go up 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2 to the negative direction is to the left in this case. So that's really all I have for slope points is just those 2 points. So I would do my best to draw a straight line. That would be the equation or the graph of that line. This one doesn't seem to have, I'm going to put +0 just to see. You see, it doesn't really seem to have like a b value there, it just was empty. So 0 is the y-intercept. The slope is -3. You might want to think about this -3 over 1. So I'm going to go, either you have a choice. You could either go down 3, 1, 2, 3, and over 1 to the right. Or you could consider this the same thing as 3 over -1. And go up 3, 1, 2, 3, and go 2, 1 to the left. But once you have enough points, you're going to go ahead and draw that line. You got it. Y equals -4. This is kind of weird because it doesn't seem to have a slope, or at least, like if you think about mx plus b, there's not an x value there, right? So what would m have to be if x just disappeared? It seems like this is the equation, right? Y equals 0, x plus 4. So it does have a y-intercept 1, 2, 3, 4 of 4. But the slope is 0. If you remember that, that means the line looks kind of like this. Right? So it's just y equals 4. So everywhere on that line, what's weird about this, if you think about it, the y-axis is vertical, but a y equals -4 line is horizontal. So those are at odds with each other, but maybe that helps you remember it. But every point on this line, like this is the point 1, 4. This is the point 2, 4. This is the point 3, 4. The y values of all those points, I'm sorry, I graphed y equals 4, it's -4. So you should pay attention to negatives here. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry about that. So every point on that line, the y value is -4. Like that's 1 -4, 2 -4, 3 -4, 4 -4, 0 -4, -1 -4. The y value is always equal to -4. Okay, -x minus 4 here. So start with the y-intercept of -4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the slope is, so the slope is -1 there. So you might want to think of that slope as being -1 over 1 or 1 over -1. One of those two ways. You want to think about with the denominator. So the slope is negative, so it's coming down the hill here. So if I go up 1 over 1 to the left, up 1 over 1, make a whole bunch of slope points. Once you're happy with the number of slope points, go ahead and graph what should be a somewhat straight line. And you got it. X equals 3 doesn't fit the form of mx plus b, right? This is x equals, not y equals. So this is doesn't have a slope. It's an undefined slope, right? So what would that line look like? Anytime it's an x equals a number line, it would be a vertical line here. So every x value is 3 on that line. This one, you could go old school and just solve that one for y, right? Put it in slope intercept form. So subtract 3x. If you do that, you get 2y equals -3x plus 4. Divide by 2, divide by 2, divide by 2. Get y equals -3x, -3/2x plus 2. So there you go. -3 is -3 over 2, up 3 over 2, and draw the line. Y equals 0, so the y-intercept looks to be 0. The slope, it doesn't seem to be there, so the slope is 0, so it looks like this. That's actually the same as the x-axis. It's kind of a cool way to plot here. So we're using intercepts. So what you can do is just, I'm just going to draw kind of a, let me see, draw something temporary here. So I'm going to make this just for effect here. I'm going to make this a fill color red. Okay. So I'm going to temporarily cover over the 4, right? The 4y, I guess. So if you do that, you can probably in your head solve this, right? 2x, we're basically saying if y was 0, that term would go away, right? So if y was 0, it'd be 2x equals 12, which means x equals 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let me try that again. So to find the y-intercept, you would say x is 0. So pretend x is 0. With x is 0, that term goes away. So you'd have negative 4y equals 12. Divide 12 divided by negative 4 is, I think that would be negative 3, right? So your other point is down here. So I have my 2 points. You can go ahead and draw your line with 2 points because you know this graph is linear. And that is your lesson. We're just doing lots and lots of graphing. Let's do that cover-up method again. Let me go back and grab that thing here. So this would be, let's see if I can paste it. All right, okay. So I'm going to cover that up. So it looks like x equals negative 3. So I'm going to plot that point right here. And then I'm going to cover up the x to find the y-intercept. So negative 6, y equals negative 3. So if you divide by negative 6, y equals positive 1/2. So it looks like my point is right about there, and I can draw my beautiful graph. So something like that. And just finding the slope and y-intercept from a graph is really helpful to be able to do. You want to identify some of those nice points where they cross both the horizontal and vertical lines there of the graph. So it looks like the y-intercept is 2. So if you think of y equals mx supposed to be, I know this is going to be minus 2 here because the y-intercept is negative 2. And then the slope looks to be up 1 over 3 to the right. So the slope looks to be 1/3. So 1/3 x minus 2. Y equals 1/3 x minus 2 would be the equation of that line. Try this one. Find a couple of points. The y-intercept is 0, so y equals, it looks like the slope is up 2 over 1 to the left, which is negative, so that'd be negative 1. So that'd be 2 over negative 1 or negative 2. You can say plus 0 if you want, because it does cross there at 0, but I think most folks would just have the negative 2x as your equation. Y equals negative 2x. Vertical lines are always x equals, in this case, x equals 2. Horizontal lines are y equals. That's it. That is the end of your lesson.